90% of millionaires are invested in real estate, and there is definitely a correlation there. Today I'm going to talk to you about mine and my husband's experiences in investing in the Winnipeg real estate market. So stay tuned. Hi, welcome to our channel. I'm Jennifer Queen with the Jennifer Queen team and RE/MAX Professionals here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And before I really get started into the meat of this whole topic today, I just want to make sure that I preface this with, this is not investment advice. This is just experiences that have worked for Logan and I as we have began and continue to explore our investment journey. When it comes to getting advice with your financial plan, be sure to talk to your own accountant or financial planner. We are not licensed to give investment advice. This is just something that was comfortable for us because we are already in the real estate space. We understand how it works. We understand what the buyers are looking for. And so as a result, we've been very comfortable in making these investments. But there might be investments out there that are better suited for you and your situation. So I highly recommend you consult your own professionals and just make sure that the investment decisions you are making is right for you. Okay, so let's get into it. As a realtor, I believe it's important to practice what you preach, I guess, essentially. So we worked with many home buyers buying for personal reasons, but then we also started to work with investors who were wanting to buy into this market and either improve upon value within a home for the purposes of resale or speculative selling. But there's also a lot of investors out there that want to buy and hold for the long term. So that really appealed to us, the whole idea of building that wealth through real estate. And there are many reasons why real estate is such a good investment. So let's start with the first reason, and personally one of my favorites, is the passive income. So when you buy a property to hold as a rental and you're putting tenants in that property, they're paying you rent every month. But the thing I like about passive income is, unlike active income, similar to our jobs as realtors where we are trading time for money, passive income, you're not trading your time. There is just this investment that you are holding that is generating cash flow for you while you sleep. Yes, there could be things that you need to repair within the home, but Logan and I personally, we have elected to just hire a property manager. To us, it was worth it to have somebody else handling the real estate that we hold and just not have those calls. We didn't want to get burnt out from investing in real estate. So for us, the money is worth it. It's around $120 per home per month. So if you would rather save that money, you absolutely can. But for us, it just, the $120 was worth it for that peace of mind, that to know we're not going to be bothered by a tenant at 2 a.m. if their toilet starts leaking. We know that we have somebody out there handling it for us. Another opportunity with real estate is appreciation. Markets may go up and down. It's just what markets do. But if you look at a trend line from any, and you give a long enough history, you're going to see that the trajectory for real estate values have always gone up. I'm sure your grandparents have told you what they paid for their home back in the 1970s, right? So we know that the value of real estate over time, and that's if you are buying real estate to hold it for long periods of time, it does always tend to go up. There's another option too, and this is what we call forced appreciation. Forced appreciation is when you take the property, perhaps it's not in the best state, and what you do is you make improvements to the property that would be desirable to buyers or tenants, and you add to that value of the property. It's called forced because it's more of an active force pushing behind it to increase that value of the home. But there are many opportunities to add value to your real estate, something you can't necessarily do in stocks, right? So we liked that opportunity when we were getting into real estate investing because we could spot a property that perhaps was in disrepair or distress and see past some of the issues and know what it would be worth if we did just some minor fixes, or in some cases we did some pretty major fixes. Another factor that we like about investing in real estate is that Over time, rents always do increase, but if you look at how mortgages work, you are initially paying down a mortgage set at this number, and then over time, your mortgage gets smaller and smaller as you pay that principal down. So your mortgage payments tend to shrink unless there's crazy escalating interest costs. So your mortgage payments tend to shrink while your rental income goes up. What's nice about rental income is that in those initial few years when you own the property, that tends to be the least amount of cash flow you're going to receive every month. But the longer you hold, the bigger the gap between income and expenses becomes, and it becomes much more profitable to hold those rentals. Now for us too, there were some tax advantages to holding real estate, but again, I don't know if that's something I would be really comfortable on advising on, but if you wanna reach out to me personally and just kind of ask how our accountants have recommended structuring things to stay within the guidelines from the CRA, please feel free to reach out. Another important thing about real estate is the opportunity for leverage. So in stocks, yes, you can buy on margin, but where else in this world can you buy property with other people's money, so the banks or even private investors, and leverage 80% of that investment for long periods of time? We're talking like 25 years in some cases if you want to amortize your mortgage over that period. So there are huge opportunities to use other people's money to invest in real estate. That sounds bad, but it's not. It's using those mortgages to your advantage. And with interest rates right now being so low, it's incredibly attractive to use that money. It keeps those monthly payments very, very low. So when you're investing in rentals, for us personally, because it's not our primary residence, we do need a 20% down payment, but 80% of that purchase can be leveraged by using money from the bank for us. It's incredibly attractive. So I need to take a little aside here before continuing on with the leverage piece. What we have found is that people think it's much harder to get a mortgage for a rental property than it actually is. We were the same. We thought we needed to have a huge amount of income coming in just to get approved for this mortgage. And what turned out to be the case was not that at all. What we found was that we needed a 20% down payment, good credit, and assessment of the rental income for the property. Our bank was satisfied with us just providing comps of rentals within the area to show what they were renting for, and then as well as a list of all your expenses so that the bank can see that you're going to be covering your monthly expenses with your rental income. And that was it. They said, you've got your down payment, go ahead. There was an appraisal ordered as part of the process because of course banks don't want to be underwater on their mortgage, but that was it. That was all we had to do for our very first rental. And I would say they've actually only gotten easier since then, but it's so crazy to me how many people, including ourselves, get held back by just not getting the information up front from joining this real estate journey. But yeah, that was it. Save up 20% and then they say, yeah, you're good to go. Here you go. Buy this property. It was crazy to us. I had no idea it would be as easy as it was, and I'm so glad that we found it out when we did. Of course, I would say if you talk to any real estate investor, what they'll always tell you, if you ask them what their one regret is they will always tell you that they didn't start sooner. But time and time again, just start. That's the most important thing. The best time to start is either 10 years ago or today, honestly. So just take action. Now I know what you're thinking. 20% is no small number to look at, especially when real estate prices here are around $300,000 on average. I would say that's not typically the property you're necessarily going to be buying for a rental property. There are more affordable options that you can get into in good areas too, for closer to that $250,000 mark. But still, 20% of $200,000 to $250,000 is a lot of money and nothing to make light of. I'm going to talk to you now though about strategy, because what we have found is we only had to come up with that initial down payment once if we had wanted to. So here's our experience. We bought a property for $180,000. Now keep in mind, this property was in a great area, but it was in rough shape. It had been rented out to somebody for many years. The plumbing was leaking. There was a window missing in the basement. There was some seepage in the foundation. There were asbestos tiles. It was bad. It needed a significant amount of work. So what we ended up doing was we hired a contractor to go through there and did some renovations. This was at a time that was a little bit cheaper than things are at today as I record this, but we ended up getting about $20,000 worth of work done in the property. This increased the value of the property and it also increased the rents. I believe our rental income went up by about $800 just from doing these rents and having a nicer home to rent to somebody. So let's look at those numbers. So for a $180,000 property, we needed to have $36,000 down plus closing costs. Never forget closing costs. But for your down payment, you need 20%. So that was $36,000. Then we put an additional $20,000 into the reno. So we're now at $56,000 for the property. Well, when the work was done, we knew the property was worth more money. So we asked the bank to come in and do a new appraisal. Their former appraisal was based on when it was in rough shape. Now we wanted an updated appraisal for the current condition of the home. So they came in, they walked the property, and they said, this property is now worth $250,000, not $180,000. But you know what the best part is about banks and leveraging is that now they are willing to give us a mortgage for 80% of that value, which means instead of the $144,000 mortgage they were previously willing to give us, they are now willing to give us a mortgage of $200,000. And if you look at that, the difference between $200,000 and $144,000 is $56,000. So we were actually able to extract all of the money we put into that property, the down payment and all the money we sunk into renovation costs, and refinance it, take that money out, and now we were allowed to use it toward the purchase and renovation of another property. So I will say though, when you're using this strategy, you have to make sure that the rent makes sense at your new mortgage amount, because you don't want to be having negative cash flow every month where now this property you have renovated is a drain on your finances. And for us, it wasn't. The increase in rental value went up by $800 a month. It's got a positive cash flow. It made sense to take this money out, reuse it, buy another property, and continue on that path. So just a few notes on that. We personally don't tend to do a lot of our renovations. I also know people that might make a $180,000 property worth $300,000. There are people that make a $180,000 property a $300,000 property. We don't tend to take projects on that are that huge, so perhaps our returns aren't as big. And also we do tend to hire out contractors that we know, like, and trust. So we might pay a little bit more for our labor, but to us it's worth it. But there are people that actually would have this $180,000 to $300,000 swing, and then they can actually refinance all of that money too. They could actually be coming out with more cash flow than the example I've given you. I just like this example because it was something very similar in numbers to a situation that we had, and it shows just how you can continue to use that same money again and again to buy more rental properties. And it does take time. Time is money in real estate. So just keep in mind, if you're doing the work yourself, that it's going to slow down your process probably a little bit, just because it will take longer to get those projects done and to refinance, get that money back out and put it towards the next property. But yeah, this is a major strategy that I know a lot of investors here use, and we haven't been nearly as aggressive with it. But if you want more information about it, I highly recommend podcasts like the Bigger Pockets podcast. That was kind of where I got the initial ideas to strategize our rental properties this way, instead of just saving up the money every few years and then going and purchasing a rental. So if you want to listen to that podcast, Bigger Pockets, it's on Apple and Android, I believe. So be sure to check it out. But it's their strategy and I'm just copying it and replicating it. It's called the BRRRR Strategy, where you buy, renovate, refinance, rent, repeat. I believe I got those in the right order. And again, same thing. Just keep taking that money out and using it to build your portfolio and ultimately your net worth. Again, I'm going to end this with, this is not financial advice. This is what has worked for us. And if you want us to delve deeper into topics like this, please feel free to reach out and just let us know, or feel free to call us and pick our brains, because we're always happy to share our experiences with you. It hasn't all been smooth sailing. I just wanted to kind of give a high level overview of how how this strategy works. But if you do like this investment kind of real estate investing kind of advice, feel free to let us know in the comments section below. It really helps us in determining what kind of content to come out with. As always, I'm Jennifer Queen with the Jennifer Queen team and RE/MAX Professionals. If you don't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel so that you see our upcoming content. And also, if you like this video, please hit that like button because it really helps us determine what kind of content to come out with in the future. Have a great day, guys.